This year, in honor of National Recovery Month, we will be sharing videos of other people's experiences and perspectives in an effort to reduce stigma and enhance awareness on the topic of addiction. We are calling it the H.O.P.E Project, Hearing Other People's Experiences. Join us as our special guests share their experiences and how addiction has touched their lives. Please share, like, and subscribe. Welcome to our H.O.P.E series. We are hearing other people's experiences all throughout, the different aspects of addiction. We are reaching different parts of our community to get to know people's stories and their perspectives on the topic of addiction. So in honor of September being National Recovery Month, we want to highlight people's personal journeys with addictions and give them an opportunity to share their story. So thank you so much. This is John. Thank you so much for being here and giving us your time and sharing some of your story with us today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So John, can you share with us kind of how things started with your substance use disorder?
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. I started smoking weed, cannabis, marijuana when I was about 13, 14 years old. Now reflecting back, I had a desire to kind of fit in. I was never diagnosed, but I wasn't diagnosed until I was actually a junior in college. But I struggled in grade school with learning. I tested very high on my IQ test, so my parents, never really. They thought I wasn't trying hard, but I just was unable to learn in a traditional way. And in 1979, 1980, they just didn't have the resources that they did at that point. So I never really felt like I fit in when I was in grade school. I did have friends, but there were certain things where now that I spent some time on myself, I realized that there was a trauma there. And as a way to cope with it and to fit in, I started, the kids who I looked up to or I thought I wanted to fit in with were smoking cannabis. And I took that opportunity as a way to kind of connect with those kids. And I started doing that. I was self-medicating when I was a teenager. And as I progressed through high school, I unfortunately I came into some more trauma. I was sexually abused by a gym teacher when I was in high school, and that led to a lot of ridicule from my friends. There was no real emotional support at home dealing with it, and the drug use turned harder. I started doing cocaine. I would drink heavily, and I developed a pattern where I was able to drink hard and play hard and recover. And I did that up until I was 47 years old.
Wow. Well, thank God you're standing here now. It's a blessing. The gift of recovery is a blessing that just keeps on giving. And I'm glad that you touched on, the lack of support, because support is so important as we navigate any trials throughout life. What has been the hardest part about getting and staying sober for you?
The people, places, and things. My recovery started at the end of 2019. Okay. My recovery was somewhat kickstarted. They say that you should never go into recovery for anyone else, but I actually did. I actually went into recovery because both of my children were struggling with substance abuse, and during the exploratory phase of dealing with and addressing their issues, it was asked, what goes on in the home? Are you a smoker? Are you a drinker? What are you modeling for your children? And it was clear that I was modeling a behavior that they both said to me, we wanted to be like you. We wanted to drink like you, smoke like you. And when I heard that, I was like, that's it. I'm never modeling like that again. And as I got into that, I changed my life. But for me, it started at the end of 2019. 3 months later, we're in a pandemic and things are shut down. Mm-hmm. So I went into my recovery with Zoom meetings. I was lucky in the sense that I was able to, I wasn't instantly thrust back into my um, normal people, places, and things.
Right.
But when the world reopened, if you will, to an extent, and I did get back into it, that was really difficult. I had, I'm a Eagles fan, ticket holder. For me, I tailgated and went to the games every Sunday that the Eagles were home. Consisted of me going to the parking lot and partying, getting drunk, and using. And it was very hard to do that, go to the games in a sober and be around those people. I go to the games. I've changed the way that I do it, but the first couple of years were very difficult.
I can imagine. And listen, addiction is a family disease.
Absolutely.
It affects everyone, even if they're not struggling with substance use disorders. But it sounds like, your kids being transparent and coming to you in that moment was a super, pivotal part of your recovery journey. So that's a blessing. It probably didn't feel like it in the moment, but it was definitely a blessing in disguise. So I'm glad that, you guys as a unit can kind of embark on this journey together. I think that's beautiful. What is the best gift that recovery has given to you?
It's given me my life back in a sense. During this process, my older son, there was a lot of opening up, transparency, trying to be as genuine as possible with each other. And there was, we were doing something, and he said, I forget exactly what his words were, but he said, you're a great person. You can, not that you can do better, not that I was doing bad things, or I wasn't doing great things, but he said, you can do better. And, I took that, I said, you know what, he's right. There's things in my life, I was 47, 48 years old, that I wanted to do. I've been working at I have a career, which I love, but there were some other things that I wanted. And the pandemic opened my eyes to the ability and the option of going back to school. So right now I'm a graduate student, earning a master's degree in psychology at Rosemont College.
Nice.
And it's really, I've taken the time and energy that I was putting into into bettering myself and being the person I want to be, working on the relationships with the people in my life that I care about. And I really feel, blessed to have this newfound knowledge.
Wow, that's beautiful. And congratulations on embarking on your master's journey. That's so exciting.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
That's awesome. What are your main tools that you lead on and that you use for maintaining your sobriety?
For me, having a strong community of support is essential. Like I mentioned before, I started my recovery during the pandemic. So I went to my first meeting, which was in person, on March 9th of 2020. The following week, when I was planning to go back, there was no meeting. It went to virtual.
Oh,
And I just wasn't at a point where I felt comfortable to go back. My meeting experience overall, it's really hit or miss. AA meetings, finding the right meeting is important. I've found that right meeting. I would say that finding a community is important, and for me it was through the AA meeting system. But if you go to a meeting and it's not right, keep looking. Keep finding that right mix, because having someone that you can call whenever you want to talk, whether it's about, I was just in a tough situation, or I don't feel great, or whatever, means all the difference in the world. Because for all the good days, there are also some tough days, and you need someone that you can reach out to and just say, listen, I'm human. And things were rolling great. Last time I saw you, I felt 100%, but I've hit some roadblocks, and I just need to express how I'm feeling, and I need someone to listen to me. So that's what I would say. It's just find a community support.
Yeah, community is so important, and having, those people that you can always call or lean on when times get hard is so important. That was great advice. Or what would be one piece of advice you would give to someone who is in early sobriety and early recovery to keep going when things get hard and just to get immersed in whatever program works for them?
Yeah, I would go back to community, and I'd also say, the idea of having a sponsor or having someone who, for me, it was a therapist.
Mhm.
In addition to AA, I was working with a therapist who specialized in substance use disorders. So I had someone who I was seeing weekly that I could kind of, touch base with and get support there. But you really need to have someone who's dedicated to you,
Mhm.
um, to get you to. And I don't know, for every person it varies. I'm not even 1,000 days sober. So I sit next to people in meetings that have 27 years, 14 years, 13 years. So I'm still like a young pup in regards to recovery. So I don't know where the hill is for me, but I still feel like I need my meetings.
Yeah.
It's part of my weekly routine. Um, but for the first year and a half, I had someone that I was talking to pretty regularly, and
Mhm.
that was essential for me. I knew that when I got finished with that conversation, there was a commitment to talk again,
Mhm.
and it kept me sober in the sense that when the people, places, and things, people are like, oh, you can have one beer, it's no big deal, or have a drink, it's not the end of that kind of conversation.
Mhm.
I could resist that and say thank you, but this is how I see. No, and it helped me knowing that I had that accountability,
Yeah.
that I was going to be talking to someone, that and ultimately it comes down to the decisions that we make, but at least knowing that I had to be accountable to someone was helpful for me.
Yeah, definitely. I think accountability is super important, as well as having, like I said, that web of support of people who are going to hold you accountable and be honest with you, and really be a loving, caring voice in the times that you need it. So I'm super glad that you had that, especially in the beginning. How much time do you have now? Do you mind sharing that with us?
Yeah, it'll be 3 years on December 26th of this year. I think I have 972 days.
Nice. Congratulations. That's
Thank you.
awesome.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Well, keep pushing. Listen, one day at a time, sometimes moment to moment. That's all you can do.
100%.
Exactly. Well, John, thank you so much for sharing your story with us today. And listen, keep up the good fight. You're doing great things out there. And best
Yeah.
of luck on your master's journey. That's so exciting.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And Betsy, thank you for including me. You're doing great work as well. And
Yeah.
I'm glad to have met you and be involved.
Awesome. Thank you so much, John. I really appreciate it. Enjoy the beach.
Likewise. Take care. Be
Bye-bye.
well.